Speaking of skills recognition, I believe the people back there up in the room are doing a great job with the translation. Um, my name is Frans Woord. I'm at SURF in the Netherlands. And SURF is the Dutch IT cooperative for education and research. Our members are mainly, Dutch higher education and of course research, about 100 members. And I'm a technical product manager, and this is my colleague.
I'm Daniel Ostkamp. I'm also technical product manager on the same project as Frans, the EduBadges platform. And yeah, Frans, can you tell us a bit more about this EduBadges platform initially?
Yes, certainly. About 4 years ago, we started to offer a service to Dutch education, which we called EduBadges. So obviously it's based on open badges, yes. And at this moment, we have 61 institutions using the service. Because it's formal education, we serve badges in the form of micro-credentials to extracurricular, so formal and non-formal. And when we designed the service, we used an EduID, which is basically a sovereign identity, so the learner can make and choose their own identity, instead of issuing badges to the institutional identity, which they will lose, of course. It's open source, by the way, and we did made a lot of improvements about the how do you say, an extended roles and permissions model. So institutions can then add and invite their co-workers. This is the interface, so it's in two languages, English and Dutch. And what you see here is that it offers 3 kinds of entrances. So to the left, you will see the login for institutions and institution members. When they log in with their institutional account, they will get access to the issuer portal, where they can create badge classes and issue badges. And the middle part is a public interface. So without having to log in, you can look at all the different kind of badge classes. And the most right part is for students, learners, where they can log in using their EduID and access the backpack, and where they can claim badges, etc. We always, when we explain about open badges and the standard, we always say we call this EduBadges because it's basically an open badge standard with additional metadata. You know, the open badge standard allows to make extensions, and this was about 7 years ago already. Since we are offering the service to education, it makes sense that we use educational standards in those additions. As you know, already in 1989, all the educational ministers of the member states of Europe agreed upon a common language to make education more transferable and comparable in Europe. So what we did is to add a little bit, well, extra metadata, like you know, all the fields out there about what are the learning outcome, for instance, or what is the level of the education. And the latest addition that we added to the standard is the micro-credential definition. The EU, quite, well, 2 or 3 years ago, they came up with a definition of micro-credential. So we even added those fields also. So we now have 17 additional metadata fields. And this is also a movement that is already there for a couple of years. So what we see, and the EduBadges service fits very well into this, that education itself is making a transformation from more fixed routes to, which is, you know, basically diploma focused, to flexible pathways, much more tailored to the learner. So student mobility and educational flexibility are the key components where the service like EduBadges fits in very well. I have a question for Daniel, because in the title slide we talked about the changing identity landscape. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So there are several topics I want to talk about that fits into the changing identity landscape. First, the self-sovereign identity paradigm. Then also related to it, the verifiable credentials data model standard, and related to that, the Open Badges 3 standard. And we have developments within the EU, the eIDAS 2 regulation that amends the eIDAS 1 regulation in some years. So first, a little bit about self-sovereign identity. It also is pronounced as decentralized identity or portable digital identity. And a common definition is a new approach to a digital identity that gives individuals full control over their identity data. So we also edited it slightly, and with a shall give, because I think that gives is maybe a bit too far-fetching, as also other parties are involved that still have identity data of you which you don't have control of. But the idea is that instead of the traditional approach where the identity provider is the central party, now the user is the central party, as we see on the right side, that the credential provider or an issuer, an identity provider, provides digital credentials to the user, and then the user stores it in an identity wallet, usually on the smartphone or also in a web wallet, and can then disclose these credentials to a relying party once or several times. So in order to get this work, we need standards, right? Several people talked about standards today already, about open standards. So one important cornerstone is here the verifiable credentials data model. And I don't want to talk about all the different elements of this data model, but more about the ecosystem itself. So on the left side, we have the issuer, and in the middle, we have the holder. And the issuer issues credentials to the holder, and then the holder can send presentations, disclose presentations to some relying party. And one important element here is also the verifiable data registry, because the relying party somehow needs to trust the issuer that the credentials are indeed valid, and that it can kind of verify in some cryptographic manner that those credentials are indeed issued by this issuing party. So this verifiable data registry contains often the public keys of the issuer and also some schemes that describe the credential. So now if we now zoom into Open Badges version 3, that is based on the verifiable credential standard. It contains the issuer metadata, obviously. So the verifying party can look up information about that issuer of that open badge. Also, it contains the cryptographic proof and some other elements about the achievement. So what is this badge actually about, right? In EduBadges, we call it the badge class. The results, for instance, containing the grade of the student, the recipient, that's obviously the learner, and also evidence that could describe the process of how the learner has achieved this badge. So within the EU, as I already mentioned, we have some developments also in the digital identity landscape. In June 2021, the European Commission proposed a framework for European digital identity called eIDAS tool that amends the EIDAS 1. One of the main reasons is that the cross-border usage of EIDAS 1 was very low. Also, it shall be used for both online and offline public and private services across the EU. And every EU citizen and resident in the Union will be able to use a personal digital wallet for free. So each member state needs to ensure that there is at least one wallet provider that can hand out an identity wallet app to their citizens. So the original timeline was to offer wallets to every EU citizen no later than November 26. However, like 2 weeks ago, I think, we saw that that will not hold due to certain discussions on some implementation acts, and not everybody voted in favor of them, so that will be postponed. Now I talked a bit about the changing identity landscape, which brings impact and opportunities, but also some challenges. And I think Frans can talk about that a bit more in detail.
Well, not so much detail, but I will highlight the most important impact and opportunities indeed. So self-sovereign identity means, of course, that individuals control their own data and their own identity, which is a good thing, I guess. And because of the standards and the regulation in the UE, it also means that it should be easier to present your skills and your set of achievements to others, right? And because of open standards, it also means that there will be less vendor login, more open systems, more portability. So all in all, it would be easy to support cross-border activities like student mobility and employability, which is all great, I think. However, of course, there's an however, there are some challenges still to solve. So what we see that there are many credential standards now, and not all those standards are ready. They're still in development. What we also see is that standards use different kind of data models. I just talked about our additional metadata, which is a data model. The ELM is a different kind of metadata model also. And these data models are not always compatible. So there are interoperability issues, both semantic as technical, and there's also a trust issue. ePIC is a trust model, but there are others. People, not all can use ePIC, so still a lot of going on there. And the EUDI, the European Digital Identity, that's also still in progress. And my next speaker, well, our next speaker is Louis. He will talk more about that, I guess. Well, and also new standards means new developments. You know, our platforms that we use now are based on the old standards in most of the cases. So we also need to build new platforms. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this slide because I think we are, almost there. But you can imagine there, I talked about a little bit about that before, and there's so many questions. Multi-language, support for Markdown, how do we cope with images in a wallet? Still a lot of questions that we need to answer. And what we did is we made a set of examples based on OB3, Open Badger 3, that we are going to use in our next, big thing that we're doing at the moment at SURF, which is an open lab. An open lab that we are testing and implementing and modifying current wallets, also the EUDI web wallet, to support open badges. And basically, we started this project this summer, and next summer it will be a platform that all institutions can use to do experiments. Now, these are a few examples, And the great thing of having already a service in place with the demo environment, we use our current EduBadges platform as a demonstrator. So the old badges there in OB2 format can be, well, transcoded to OB3 and put into a wallet. And this is an example that we also are working on the WW wallet. And as part of a DC4U project, we also made a converter which allows to make a conversion between ELM and OB3. And we have all that code put online as open source. This is an example of how that will work. So what you see here is we have the platform with the backpack. You have an old style badge. You will want to put it in a wallet. It will show you a QR code. And this is the WW web wallet. And it will transcode the badge in a new format into your portable wallet or in your web wallet. One of the questions that we received from the program committee is, how about the acceptance of EduBadges in the workplace? Can you talk a little bit about that, Daniel?
Yeah. I try. So we discussed it a bit, and we came to the conclusion that there are like a lot of open questions we need to work on as a community. So it's also a bit a call to action for everybody here. So we think that, yeah, specific needs demands also specific metadata. So do we need to extend the open badges standard with new metadata elements? How can we improve graduate employability? And how to recognize the value of a credential in other sectors? And last, how to advance acceptance by regulation. So there are a lot of open questions here, and we don't have answers to them yet, so I think we need to work on them all together. Another challenge I want to quickly talk about, but I do quickly now, is that we need to redesign our current EduBadges ecosystem such that we can support the OpenBadges 3, which comes with its own set of challenges. Hence, we will migrate to a more new distributed architecture so that we can have a better separation of concerns within the platform and make it better maintainable. Quickly a look ahead, the current roadmap, how we envision them is that starting of next year we start designing our new platform, where we already have had some talks about it, but we need to put more on paper. Also, what Frans talked about it previously, the EduWallet testbed will become public in Q2 of next year, so everybody here can just play around with it. Then in the quarter afterwards, the EduWallet pilot starts with institutions and learners in the Netherlands. And then quickly after, we will start also developing the EduBadges 2 platform until 2027, where we think we will get in production with a new system completely. We're not planning to do probably not a big bang, but more like a graduate migration to a new platform so that we replace certain services one by one. So we can, maybe it's the same time as the EUDI wallets are available, we have all the functionality online of our new platform. So we also have a call to action. If you're interested in collaborating with us to design, build, maybe test also a versatile open source platform that supports OpenBadges version 3, then please let us know. I think you know how to contact us. Here are our email addresses as well, and that's our presentation. Thanks for your attention. Yeah, sure. Are there any questions?
So you're the EduWallet. the one that you're working on, it's both portable and web, right?
Yeah, we have several companies involved that provide mobile wallets, but also that WW wallet, which is browser-based. So we try to spin up agents that can issue credentials that you then can store either in a mobile wallet or web wallet.
And you can host Open Badges 3 also on your web wallet.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just Open Badges 3, not Open Badges 2.
Okay.
Only.
And when you move, can you move Open Badges 2 into the Edu wallet?
Yeah.
Will they get converted into 3?
Yeah.
And are you using decentralized identifiers or Edu ID as the identifier for the?
Good question. Of course, your wallet has a PID, and so how can you transform your Edu ID into a PID? So there must be some user binding between the two. We're still in the progress finding out how to do that, because that's a big question.
Thank you.
As you know.
Yeah, but you mean also decentralized identifier, right? That currently we just use the DID web, I think, or just a normal HTTPS URL. So we don't.
To the wallet, they use Edu ID right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this moment, yeah.
Very quickly on the subject of wallets, you talked about a preferred wallet. Is there an opportunity for people to use multiple wallets depending on what context they want to display and use their credentials and how they want to curate them?
Exactly. The whole idea about wallets is your choice. So the learner chooses their wallet of choice. So don't have vendor lock-in. What we're doing now is testing the different kind of wallets in what do they support and what not. And then get back to the wallet developers and saying, hey, listen, your markdown support is not ready there. So in next summer, we hope that there will be a uniform acceptance in wallets. We have a profile in the Netherlands that all the wallet providers should comply with. And then all the credentials should be compatible between the wallets. That's the idea. We see next summer.